Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishnan Nair, and here basically it's the 204 part of the formula, and it's a 204 part. So here basically we are going to discuss about the few points more about the subscription plan, government connected with the subscription plan, and up to what level the government have the power, what government don't have the power. That basically and subscription plan basically that is. The World Bank basically giving the data, and we have taken one more example that is the six people basically died, and in this basically from that six people they shifted the people to other planets, and then basically that time basically the data basically was captured that blood cells equal to disease and disease equal to the roadmap, and the roadmap was Mars. So like this, the Mars planet basically was the area basically which that person basically was connected. So what actually here basically the thing is there are 20 lakh planets in this world. Sorry, in this not is in this world. 20 lakh planets basically has created by Earth planet, and there are basically 20 lakh planet. But in front of the world is what? In front of the world is that there is no single planet basically created for the human basically. So like this the things are there basically. So there are basically many things basically which are in front of the public and not in front of the public. So this is not in front of the public. In front of the public is there is no like planet only. Only Earth planet is there where basically you can create the. Otherwise, lots of people says that no, basically we don't want to stay in Earth planet. We want to move from Earth planet. Then basically the nuclear power company says that we have basically created for the Earth planet task only, for our planet task only, that is basically to create the Earth planet energy basically, not to create the other basically planets energy, because if we don't have the rights, if you want to basically move to the Earth planet, then other than Earth planet, then basically if there any other alternative basically is there created by the nuclear power company and by the satellite group, then basically they you need to ask. Otherwise basically from birth basically, when you take the birth, that time basically you should take the birth in that planet only basically. Then only basically, because when we give the injections basically of the birth child, that time basically we do the mapping of the Earth planet only. Because what you should up to what level basically you should have the energy, up to what level you can think, this all basically the boundary basically they do the restriction in the injection, and that basically connects to the blood group. So for example, one person few people says that A blood is the most richest blood cells in this world. Then basically the only rich people can have this type of blood groups. Then basically the another person basically was assume that one child basically was dumped as a C blood cells. So C blood group basically. Then basically he thought that he was basically sharp minded. He was basically the business minded also. He was basically thinking up to good level also. So then basically the his boundary was getting crack basically, you can say, not crack basically, the exact word basically you can say is he was crossing the boundary of the blood group, because this blood group only has to think up to this level. Beyond that you can't think. But he was basically thinking basically. He was thinking beyond that blood group also. Then basically the energy group basically, that is the nuclear power company group, that told that basically he's thinking beyond that blood group basically, which he's allocated by the government and by the nuclear power company basically. So they have basically nuclear power company basically told that he's going to use it in this purpose basically. So for that, basically, he got the blood group also from the injections, from the set of child injections. Then basically he got that. Um, then basically, according to the work environment, basically he thought that he was thinking beyond the businessman. He was thinking beyond the like this. He was basically thinking beyond. Then basically the nuclear power company told that basically he's basically allocated for the certain task only. We can't change the blood group basically. Then basically at last basically his blood group basically was changed. Then he allocated to A plus blood group. So basically, like this, the blood groups are also just see basically up to what level the blood groups are also there. That means the government is telling that we have created this blood group, so this blood group is going to create this only. That is 100% sure. Why? Because we are giving the guarantee. We have created that injections of the childbirth. So we are giving the guarantee that he is going to think up to this level only. If he is thinking, then basically he might have got some other energy power basically. He might have connected to some other groups basically. Then according to that group, basically he might be get got some power. And if the government approves, then only basically we will change the blood group basically. But mostly basically we are not going to change. But if the environment basically says that you have to change, then basically you have to change. That basically very rare happens. Very rare means very rare. And now basically then basically one person told that you can't change the planet basically. One person told that basically he want to change the planet. Then basically he told sorry, he can't change the planet because he is basically specially created for the earth planet purpose only. Then basically how you can change the planet? Then basically he told that if you are changing the planet, then basically we have to disconnect lots of things. Basically we have to disconnect your oxygen power supply. We have to temporary set your oxygen power supply in one of the data. And then basically for temporary basically until the you will not able to move the planet basically. For example, you want to move to the Mars planet or any other planet, then basically temporary oxygen power supply basically you has to get. So for that basically we have to do the fun. First of all basically you have to you disconnect each and every activities. Each and every activities means each and every oxygen power supply basically we have to disconnect. Then only basically we can shift to you. Rest of thing basically automatically will get disconnect. For example, one person disconnection started. So rest of thing basically automatically is going to stop basically, right? Everything is connected with the energy power data, right? Everything is connected basically from the energy power data. So like this, he told that like this basically there are lots of things basically happened, and like this basically he shifted to the other planet also. Basically. He shifted because he was not getting the proper um, which he is supposed to get. Then basically he shifted to the because he was having the good money also. So he purchased a few land in the other planet and basically he shifted. So like this, there are many basically experiment happened basically in this universe. Like this, basically, lots of people say that without dying, also basically you can move the planets. You can move the planet, but in front of the world, basically you have to die, right? So for that, basically you can create some incidents that like this, basically this person died, like that, basically that person died, like the ship in ship, basically that person died. Like this, basically you can give few examples that this person died like this, and then basically you can shift to the other planet and nobody is going to track that also. So like this basically the government is handling each and everything. No, it's not government basically. Government basically mostly basically might not be knowing this all this thing. Other planets related government, I don't think government might be knowing that there are basically 20 lakh planets basically which is created by the nuclear power company groups. Mostly government might not be knowing, but might be possible that they might be knowing. So what might be the reason basically how they might have tracked that uh, the other planet basically exist? There might be some reason that basically we will discuss later on. First of all, basically we have taken few examples that there are 20 lakh planets in this world. Few nowadays basically people want to shift to the other planet, then basically they can easily shift. Like this basically there are many things basically which happens, but that shifting basically required money. He required the power basically. Otherwise few people says that basically he can one of the person basically, for example, he is not getting money in India, then basically he basically told that he want to shift to the other planet. Sorry, no, he directly told that he want to shift to the other planet. Then basically he told the government told that basically you can shift to other countries also basically, right? But he told that basically I don't have money also. Whatever money basically I was having, that basically I was that was basically spending here and there. Then basically I don't have enough money to shift the planet only basically required some crores of rupees. That much money basically we don't have. Then basically they told that you can shift to other planet basically, but the person basically who is creating problem in India, He's basically not allowing that person to shift to the other planet. Then basically the government told that basically we always take care of the people, and we will raise your request in front of the parliament house. Then basically they raised the first time request that one person basically want to shift to the other planet, and that also basically alive, and basically he don't have the money also. So like this basically government raised the request, and then basically he told that if the person basically who's creating the problem, if he do that adjustment, then basically the government told that basically no, he is not going to do that adjustment. Like this basically the government told that yeah, basically you can approve, just disconnect all the data of the particular person, and then he can shift to the other planet basically. Then the other planet basically, the who is the owner of the other planet, he will take care of the particular person, because earth planet rule says that once you created problem in India, then you can't basically go to other country. Basically other countries are basically not going to accept it, because because one country created a problem to you, then basically all countries are going to create problem to you. So like this basically thing was there. Then basically the government told that basically who created this type of system, basically that one person is creating problem basically in one country, then basically he can't go to other country also. His health basically is getting affected. His all entire bodies are getting damaged. Like this basically he got frustrated, and then at last basically requested government to his how basically he can shift to the other planet. Like this basically the government told that yeah, basically you can shift to the other planet. Like this basically the first bill raised, that he's bill basically has to raise. Why? Because expense is going to happen, and he basically don't have that much expenses. So on the government expense basically he shifted to the other plan. Like this the government basically who was ruling, he told that basically we have done this good task basically to save one person. Basically we shifted that person to the other planet, because the person basically who was the richest person in India, he was basically creating problem to that particular person. Like this basically he shifted, and he was basically not able to move to the other place also. Like that type of basically problem created to that person. Then basically he shifted to other planet. Like this type of bills basically raised. So this is also basically one of the things basically. Then basically the government told that we basically can't purchase a pen also. We can't purchase a pen also. That basically example also we have saw yes in next year, just previous video, that we can't purchase one pen also. Then basically you can just imagine the, if anybody help basically we want to give to the any other person basically, then we can't give it, right? Because it's totally permission related task basically, right? It's totally related to the permission level task basically. If you can't purchase one pen also basically, then basically you can just imagine. Pen basically, what pen cost? Pen basically cost how much money? Only basically 10 rupees, 20 rupees. If it's a costly pen, then basically 100 rupees, 300 rupees, 400, 200. That much basically is costing, right? So that much also basically government the employee says that we can't purchase the pen also. So that is also basically one of the thing. Government basically is having crores of rupees. Then also basically they can't, employee can't purchase one pen also. And basically the reason basically we have already told. That's connecting to the each and every countries basically. And basically few people say that we only use this pen for this country, people say that we use this pen for this country. And then basically he told that that's connected with the other aspects also basically. Other aspects basically means the energy level aspect. For example, one contract signed happened of the USA, or basically assume that some London basically contract happen. So whenever basically that any of the people basically is going to move to the London, he is going to get oxygen power supply from that nuclear power company, and the power company and the energy company. Why? Because the pen basically which was created by that owner, that energy and that power and that nuclear power company. So just imagine basically the data basically which is getting used in the international level, the data basically which is getting international level. For example, the pen basically which was using by the government for that country, and that country basically wherever the people are going to move from the India to that country, that power company and that nuclear power companies are going to send the data of the India. Why India basically? Because he has basically eaten aloo parathe, he has eaten some vegetables, he has eaten eggs, he has basically eaten chickens, he has basically eaten idli, he has eaten dosha, he has basically eaten khichdi, he has eaten rice, he has eaten rotis, he has basically eaten uh, pani puri, like this basically lots of things basically he has eaten. So that basically has converted into the blood cells. So just see the business also basically up to what level it's connecting, up to what level the business is connecting, up to what level the business is connecting. So like this basically the power of the data basically it start translating from one country to another country. So they transfer the data of that particular India data to the other country. Then basically they didn't every time basically they don't have to ask the data that because he has eaten that thing, right? So blood cells is already generated. So that keeps on updating also. Basically. That keeps on activating also. Few people basically says that we don't want to send the data and we just want the local level basically data only. So whenever he will be coming to India, that time basically we are going to send the data to his oxygen power supply. Till then basically we don't need to supply the data. So up to what level the basically things are, just see basically this is basically business, right? This basically connects to the business of the international level. So like this there are basically many things basically which basically human basically which basically computer also basically says that we have lots of things basically, we have lots of things, but basically it's not in front of the public. But the normal basically public basically might not be knowing this, but lots of things are there, right? Lots of basically things are there. So like this basically this all are basically the of the previous videos only, and few basically was added which was changed basically. So like this basically the topic basically which we were discussing, that was basically of the one computer is getting on. So which of all are the power supplies basically which are getting passed to the computer? For example, there is one IBM computer which is basically getting on. So IBM is created from how many countries? Microsoft computer is there. Microsoft laptops are there. Dell laptops are there. HP laptops are there. Compact laptops are there. So whenever that gets on, that time basically they connects to which country location. For example, compact basically group says that because it's not possible, right, to create one compact city, to create one Dell city, to create one Microsoft city. That is not possible, right? If the big level money basically gets invested, for example Microsoft says that we can create our own city, we can do the investment that basically each and every laptop company basically can't do. So they say that we can we can give some rent to the few cities that basically just take this data and you can just boot our laptop and computer. For that basically we can give you every month the rent. So that like this basically the people are also surviving. For example, few new laptop basically people, new laptop company basically says that we have basically just started. You can just own our. We will basically give you the our entire laptop design basically. On the base of the design, basically you can just do the own of our laptop basically. So just see basically up to the what level the things are there. Then basically one person told that the operating system of the Microsoft, that is basically assume that it's a Windows 10 or Windows 11. Then Windows 11 basically has created on the base of this 12 to 13 cities. 12 to 13 cities. It is basically not 12 to 13, basically 12 to 13 basically it might be too much. It might be two or three basically. So like this Windows operating system basically was created, and then basically the .NET basically we already see basically that it's created from the thousand cities, And .NET basically why it's created from 1060, because it's going to create lots of system basically, like CRM system, and CRM system is going to create few vegetables. So vegetable means you can just imagine up to what level the blood cells gets generated. At least basically 2 to 3 sub blood cells is going to generate it. But main vegetable blood cells is there, right? The main vegetable blood cells is there. For example, few people says that uh, few people says that this is basically tomato. Tomato basically is created from which vegetable? Tomato basically in has created from which vegetable? Means comes in which under vegetable basically. You can say. For example, potato. Potato comes in under which vegetable? For example, you can say the reporting person. For example, one manager is there. Manager reports to which person? He reports to director. So manager comes under director. Developer basically comes under manager. So like this same way basically, the tomato is reporting to who basically? Tomato is basically who is the reporting person of the tomato. So whom to tomato basically is reporting? Who is the potato basically reporting person? Like this, who is the hierarchy basically of the each and every vegetables, which is the hierarchy of the each and every vegetables. On the from that vegetable only the each and every vegetable basically got derived. That basically comes the same exactly with namespace and class is there basically, right? In .NET basically, in C++ also basically there. In namespace is there, in namespace there assume that one vegetable namespace is there. So that is the main vegetable. So you can add one vegetable name also, or basically you can add assume that it's a one vegetable name, and that under that vegetable name basically there are basically assume that there are in this world basically there are around more than 500 vegetables. So vegetables basically the each and every 500 basically comes into the classes. So 500 classes and one namespace. So like this the things are there. So this was basically the things basically which way basically the explanation has happened. So like this why basically this was explained basically, reason is basically that the in software industry basically also lots of people says that our software is basically creating this CRM software is creating vegetables. That is basically the potato and tomato is basically created from the CRM software. From CRM software we are creating vegetables and tomato, sorry, tomato and potato, we are creating it. So like this the power supply basically which is getting passed to the CRM software, that the power company has already got the information that this CRM software is going to generate tomato and potato. So the data which is entered in the into the CRM software, that is 100% going to generate the potato and tomato only. So just to see the data level also basically they are not forcefully basically doing it. That CRM basically whenever basically you purchase this product, for example you purchased this product, then basically the forcefully they are going to dump the CRM software data into that, then will they start the processing the tomato and potato data. Like this basically they are not doing forcefully, right? Few companies says that basically you can sign the you can read the each and every agreements. In that agreement basically we have written lots of things, so you have to understand the agreement, right? Then basically if anybody or take the obligation that you have forcefully dumped the CRM data into me basically into my body, then basically we will take some legal action basically. Then basically the CRM software company told that you have basically signed the agreement, you have not read the agreement carefully. Then basically he told that okay basically I have read the agreement. So from that CRM software, assume that CRM software was basically the car company basically. The product basically which was getting entered into that, that was the car company. The car company, right? So the car company was basically dumping the tomato and potato data into that person's body, because he has purchased the car, purchased the product from the, and the bill was basically generated from the CRM software. So just see basically the things basically. Up to what level they are, each and every things basically are connected. Up to things basically, each and everything basically are connected basically. So how dangerous? It's basically not dangerous. It's very dangerous. Basically. That's why basically the software industry is nowadays growing because each and every data basically has to enter somewhere. Has to enter somewhere, right? Without basically this data, for example, Microsoft told that .NET is created from, one person is telling that .NET is created from 4,000 cities. 1,000 one person is telling that .NET is created from 3,500 cities. One person is telling that .NET is created from 7,000 cities. One person is telling that .NET is created from 10,000 cities. One person is telling that .NET is created from 12,000 cities. So basically, who basically is correct? How basically you can track this? Each and every person basically are working in the Microsoft only. They are big level directors basically. They all people are basically telling different answer. Then basically, how you can say that this 10,000 city which is existing that are basically generating that are basically connected with the .NET creation only? How you can say that in building basically it's not written that it's a .NET building. It's not written that. It's written, no, basically, it's not written that this building is basically for .NET. This building is basically of the Microsoft. It's not written, right? But in energy, basically, level groups, basically, they says that we have basically done the tag of each and every buildings, basically, that this building is going to generate .NET data, .NET energy. So you can just see basically here basically also the datas are only coming. Here also basically data is also going to. So how basically they might be doing the tag that how basically the energy groups might be doing the tags. So for that basically few people says that we are using the providers basically that are basically big level providers like Airtel, Reliance, Geo, Reliance and Geo both are one. Then Vodafone is there. Few people says that Idea is there. Few people says that BSNL, that is a government level product. Few people says that TCS is there. Sorry, Tata is there. Few people say the Hutch is there. Few people says Hutch is there. So like this, basically, we have created lots of providers just to do the tagging mark. So how they will be? They might be doing some tagging mark, right? They might be doing some tagging mark, right? This person basically is staying in this building. Basically, this building is going. This building is basically for .NET. And how basically in .NET basically there are many how many tools basically user just say. In .NET there are more than I think more than 20 to 30,000 tools. Like text box is there. Text box is basically taken from the rent basically, right? Combo box are there. Combo box are also basically taken from the rent. And check boxes are there. Radio buttons are there. List box are there. Menus are there. All there are basically taken as a rent, right? Then basically what .NET is basically what .NET has what that building why that building is basically created, why that building is basically created. So they told that basically whatever data it's going to enter in that text box, for that processing purpose we have basically created the entire .NET, right? For example, there is one user control which is basically created from the text box is basically universal control, right? But few people says that we have basically customized the text box because we have customized means we have used this text box in the CRM product. So now basically the chain is how much, how basically the chain is connected. Chain is connected like this. Text box and text box is coming under. Sorry, the CRM basically derived the one text box, and text box is basically um, is higher than the higher basically higher means in top basically the CRM text box is basically reporting to the main text box. It's like that. So like this the chain is basically generated text box under text box CRM text box. So like this basically the CRM industry basically that basically are taking the text box as a rent. because text box is created from the thousand cities, right? And that's a universe basically. It's a unique product basically of one of particular owner basically, you can say. And he basically never comes in front of the world. He basically never comes in front of the world. He basically never is going to come. For example, 3i Infotech company. Who is the owner basically? That basically might be 100%. He might be from nuclear power. Sorry, from the energy power company. He might be 100% from the energy power company, but he will never come in front of the public. Why? In front of the public, the owner are basically totally different, because he know basically the each and every software basically is generating the blood cells, and blood cells basically can damage the body parts also. So he basically know each and everything basically, right? So like these things are also there basically. So most of basically companies, basically the software companies, are basically their or real owner basically are the nuclear power company, energy company, and the power companies. So they are the mostly basically owners, but they will basically never comes in front of the public. In front of the public, basically the owner are totally different, right? So this is also basically directly connecting like this. Sun is there, few people says that, but in real basically sun exists? No. Moon exists? No, basically, because there is no like moon also. It's a basically you can say it's a uh, it's basically the chained basically you can say of the lights basically. So Earth planet is also basically what doing. Earth planet is also generating the lights, so that the universe basically can get the lights basically, right? So Earth planet is also basically getting the lights. Sorry, creating the lights. Earth planet is also basically creating the lights basically you can say. So like this basically the Earth planet is also creating the lights in the universe. So it's the tiny lights basically, which is the entire creation till now. Assume that that is in blue color. Assume that the entire creation is blue color currently. Entire creation basically is in blue color. So that is the thing. So Earth planet basically, universe says that Earth planet. That's why basically they says that we create everything, but we keep separately each and every planet's data. So this 20 lakh planets which is created by the Earth planet, that is basically separately kept. That is basically entire thing is basically kept as a separately only. That's why basically few people says that basically that's why basically the public basically still basically the public is not knowing that the 20 lakh planet exists. And in front of the public the scene is like this. In Bollywood basically it's called as a scene. The scene is like that. Still basically we are not having the planets to stay other than Earth planet. So just see basically how dangerous the thing is basically. Nobody is trusting the anybody basically you can say. So no country is basically trusting any of the countries. No country basically are trusting any of the countries. It's like that basically. So basically few people say that's why basically we are doing the meetings, right? Then also basically who is going, because you have already not trusted, and like this basically you have started, right? Without trust basically you have started the thing. That's why basically uh, few country basically knows that 20 lakh planet is there. Few country basically says that we don't know about the 20 lakh planet. So like this the stuffs are also there. So basically no country basically trust each other. That is basically also there. So Earth planet duty is to creating the lights basically you can say. Creating the lights means this light basically. So in universe basically the Earth planet is one unique light basically which is generating in the universe. So 20 lakh planet basically has created. It's not created like that basically, right? Because they want to generate more lights, more power basically. Few people says that for basically sun solar system is also created. sun solar system also basically created, right? What basically might what was the reason basically without sun solar system thing was not working? Few people says that few people says that we have basically our data what oxygen we want to generate. For example, few people says that for example, in India, basically each and every people basically are connected with the casting, right? That he is basically the Nair, he is the Iyer, he is the Patel, he is the Shah, he is Agrawal. In Muslim, basically he is Shia Muslim, he is Sayyid Muslim, he is that Muslim. In Christian, basically he is from that community, he is from that community. In Jain, basically he is from that Jain. In Parsi, basically there are many communities. Like this, basically each and every community basically is divided, right? They are basically divided by the government only because the injection basically when you dump into the body when the child gets birth, that time basically his casting basically are already dumped and the blood cells creation also starts happening. Like this, basically the each and every caste basically have basically certain stuff basically in the universe, and before that basically the stuff basically they are doing that is basically in the earth planet. In earth planet basically they are doing in the nuclear power company, and before nuclear power company energy company and power company, before that basically he is doing their stuff is in the local lands basically where he is staying, what activity he is doing, whether he is doing the job in company, he is doing the businessman, he is doing the what basically what actually he is doing, he is doing his consultancy, he is actually having his own business basically actually what he is doing, that basically is the activity what he is doing. So basically ultimately it comes to the local only, right? Then only basically it comes to the earth planet level, city level, state levels and country level. Ultimately the thing is local level basically, that is corporators basically and the MLAs basically comes into the picture. So main role basically these groups only basically are playing the main role. For example, one chief minister comes in the country, sorry in the state basically, he asked about one person basically. Who is that person basically? Which video basically I'm seeing it? Who is that person basically? He asked basically the corporator. When he basically called, he was basically seeing the videos from the state level area. He connected that this person is basically from this city basically, and then he connected to the corporator or MLA of the city, and then basically he asked basically who is that person basically, who is in this video basically. He sent that video link also. Then basically he told that oh basically he is one normal person basically, he is doing job also and he is doing that job. Okay, then basically he told that, then basically he told that basically who is that guy basically, just connected. Like this basically the things are there. So locally basically the things basically are connected with the MLS and corporators only. Ultimately it comes to the local, whatever. For example, one person is staying in USA, but ultimately where he is staying, that is the place, that is the local thing basically, right? And it comes under some county MLAs or basically some leaders basically. In USA basically I think it's MLAs basically, or some leader basically you can say. There basically I think corporator like post is not created. So like this, everywhere basically the things comes up to the local level only basically. And local level only basically he do the each and every stuffs basically, right? Like this the caste are divided, like each and every caste people basically do their activities and the local level, right? Then basically the activities are divided like this basically, the government says that we are basically capturing each and every local people's activities, and then basically it is already divided by the government that he's from Jain caste, he's from this caste, he's from that caste, he's from this caste. Like this basically the government is already divided the data basically. Because government say when the nuclear power company says that we are facing lots of problems, that's why basically that divided has basically happened, the divided basically has happened. Like this divided basically has, and this basically contains many negative and positive things basically also. Dividing basically connects to lots of negative and positivity activities also basically. Positive activities are also there. Activity means that caste is going to face positive things. That caste is going to face negative things. Like these things are also basically there. So like these basically things are also there. So like this basically uh, the, we are discussing about the solar system, right? Few people says that we know each and every this thing basically, that's why basically we have created the solar system. So what is this solar system? We are going to say in next part why the solar system basically came into picture, and more than 8 lakh crore basically rupees has invested by the few businessmen group basically who are telling that we have created the solar system, and why basically we are created, that basically we are going to see in next part, that is basically the 205 part.